Facebook's under fire yet again this morning over targeted ads on its platform. A new investigation by ProPublica discovered that users could place housing ads that discriminate against a number of categories. ProPublica was able to buy ads that excluded, quote, African Americans, mothers with high school children, people interested in wheelchair ramps, and Jews, among other groups. The company says it was a failure that should have been caught by the systems in place. Let's bring in Jason Calacanis, Inside.com founder and CEO. Jason, it's good to have you back. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving, Carl.
Obviously not a good look for Facebook, but how does this run afoul of a model that allows you to micro-target in all kinds of ways?
Yeah, I think what we're looking at here is Facebook is telling Congress and the public that they're going to fix this ad network and stop allowing the targeting of individuals by race. Now, this is a very controversial feature they added, and they have no safeguards on their advertising network, very few. And if you look at the ads that were placed, this is coming after ProPublica did the exact same thing in 2016. And so the ability to place ads and target them to exclude African Americans, Jewish people, people with teenage kids, this is really dangerous stuff. And I think the people at Facebook have to decide, did we create this platform, and do we care so much about making money that we're going to have no regulation of the platform? And as we saw when the general counsels were under fire on Capitol Hill, you know, they are going to be regulated because of this. So they really need to take action very quickly, because the investigative journalists are going to keep poking holes in this. And yeah, if you can identify me in a photo out of billions of photos with your machine learning, I think you could apply that same machine learning to the ad network, but they're choosing not to. Facebook is choosing not to put their best minds on policing. But Jason,
where is the line, right? If I'm an ad buyer and I want to reach people in Charlotte who like Jeeps, right? I'm excluding other categories by that very buy.
Yeah, there's two different filters here, Carl. One of them is the law. So the Fair Housing Act is very clear. You cannot discriminate or help people discriminate by race, by gender, by religion. So that's a law. And then there's the moral and ethical compass that Facebook absolutely lacks in terms of what should we build and how much friction should we add to the system. They really need to add some friction and some safety to the ad network, because it's never existed in the history of humanity that a person anywhere on the planet can reach 2 billion people on the planet. That's why they're printing money. But they have to take responsibility of these unknowns. And allowing people to target by race is just a mistake on their part. And they should come out and say, we never should have built this. We're going to tone down what you can do in the ad network, and we're going to start reviewing the ads. They're not reviewing the ads.
The bottom line here, right, Jason, is that housing is different. It's one thing if you're, I saw this on Twitter, if you're advertising hair care products that are targeted toward people with certain texture of hair. But in housing, when you're as big as Facebook, if you are specifically excluding certain groups of people, it was last week that ProPublica did this test. It's kind of baffling to me that every single ad, housing ad, that specifically excludes a demographic isn't reviewed by a human being, but apparently it's not.
And it also sort of undermines, Jason, doesn't it? There's a whole argument that they can self-police against discriminatory practices. They continue to say that, but if this is still happening, how is that credible?
Here's what we know from inside the technology industry. When a brilliant technology company that has reached billions of consumers says, you know, we're going to work on it, they can get it done. They've chosen to not do it. If you're capable of building this huge graph and finding my photo out of billions and tagging me automatically with an algorithm, you're capable of policing the advertising. They've chosen specifically not to do this, and they have put themselves in the crosshairs of regulators, and this will become a huge existential risk, and it's going to remove any goodwill that Facebook has for sharing baby photos and bar mitzvahs and anything else that we all love about it. This is really going to impact them, I think, with regulators and with consumers.
We're going to have to wait and see if and how it builds over time, Jason. The other big story today, of course, is the FCC releasing this plan to dismantle some landmark regulations that ensure equal access to the Internet, known as net neutrality rules. I know you got a lot to say about this one. Ajit Pai made some comments in the past 24 hours about how if you're going to have investment and bring Internet to, say, rural communities, you need a light touch on regulation. Is he wrong?
100% wrong. He's 1,000% wrong. This is a complete and utter disaster, and all Americans, whether you're on the left, the right, or you're a centrist. And here's why. I will explain it to you. When you get on the internet, if you don't have net neutrality, they're going to throttle certain services that are not there. So Verizon, which, as you know, now has Yahoo, might make Google slower, or they could even charge you to access Google. And a company like Netflix or YouTube, if they were a nascent company, they would be killed by Verizon, they would be killed by AT&T and Comcast. They would not be allowed to grow. So imagine you take out your phone and loading a YouTube video takes 30 seconds and Yahoo takes 0.
There are ways of addressing that without Title II. It baffles me that Silicon Valley, which is normally so intelligent and nuanced, has insisted on conflating Title II with net neutrality with open internet. I mean, the real issue here is that we need a structure that encourages competition in broadband, multiple choices, right? I mean, why go straight to regulation as a way to do that when it has these unintended consequences of actually making rural broadband less possible?
Rural broadband is something that we can actually figure out a way to solve just by charging everybody who's on the network an extra $1 a year or extra $2 a year and subsidizing it, which is how Australia does it in many other countries. The issue is we just got through talking about how Facebook is, got all kinds of ethical and moral issues in terms of dealing with their ad network. You cannot trust large companies to do the right thing. And the reason why we've had this incredible boom over 3 decades is because the internet allows a level playing field. What this legislation will do is it will remove the level playing field, and it will allow the different providers to pick favorites. And you can be 100% certain that they will ankle any competitor at any time. And we've seen it in the history of media, whether it's the cable companies or other distribution systems. You want an open level playing field, and by putting this legislation in place, what we're going to do is you're going to have to pick your service provider, Verizon, AT&T, or Comcast, based on which content you want to get. It would be like picking up the phone and your phone company decides the cost of calling a bar versus a church versus a store versus a school. We should not allow them to determine what content we see. We should have an open playing field and continue to have the next YouTube and Netflix emerge. If you allow the individual companies to regulate what content individuals see, you will not see another Netflix, you will not see another YouTube, you will not see massive innovation that has driven this stock market for the last 2 decades.
We're going to have to wait on that one as well, as we get a lot of conflicting signals about the government's view of market power. Jason, happy Thanksgiving. It's good to see you. We'll see you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving.